I've been practicing in private practice as an attorney for 8 years. And I hit burnout in my fourth year, actually, between the third and fourth year of my private practice. At that time, I had climbed the ranks from an associate attorney to a managing attorney of a local law firm that had a regional presence in 5 states. While managing the office, I was overseeing over 4,000 cases. We practiced creditors' rights. We represented most of the large banks that you can think of. And it was a very high volume practice and very busy, a lot of hours. And during that time, I just didn't have enough hours in a day. So naturally, my work bled into the weekend. And I found myself working Saturdays. I found myself working Sundays. I found myself coming home and working evenings after work during the week. And I just really didn't have work-life balance. I also noticed that I started not engaging in the activities that I used to really enjoy that help keep me balanced, like working out, spending time with family and friends. And when I started not engaging in those activities and prioritizing the things that bring me balance, and I gave more and more time to work and work and work, I quickly became unbalanced and unhappy. And it really culminated at a point in 2020 where I had this particular weekend, I had worked about 10 hours on a Saturday. And I was just stressed. And I remember even articulating and saying out loud that day, I hate what I do. I hate this. I hate what I do. And yet I'm doing it anyway. I really was basically a slave to my profession. And I was a slave to my job. And I cut out all the things that were meaningful for me. Consequently, it even diminished my faith during that point too. Something else that I would engage in frequently would help keep me balanced, spending time in prayer and reading the Bible. It started to ebb away at that and eat at that, where I lost interest in that or just didn't even want to try anymore. So it really kind of took over to the point where I was oppressed. I was depressed. I was really enslaved to this and felt hopeless, and really hated what I did. To the point where I even would articulate, I hate what I do. When people ask, so do you enjoy it? I'm like, no, I hate it. I really do hate it. And it was bizarre. People wondered, like, why are you doing it? I'm like, well, the money's good, but I hate what I do. And I think that actually speaks to a lot of people, especially in the United States, who are doing something that they're not passionate about. Yeah, they hate, and yet they do it anyway because of the money, because we have student loans, we have bills. You've become accustomed to a certain lifestyle that you probably don't need to live. And in order to fuel that, you got to basically enslave yourself and trade that time for money. So that's where I was. And so coming back to that Saturday where I'd worked for 10 hours that day, I remember I shut the laptop in the evening and I said, I just need to unplug. So I called and I had a friend come up and said, hey, do you want to join me for dinner? My daughter was not home that evening. My twin brother was also out that evening. And I didn't want to just be by myself. And I said I needed somebody to talk to, or else I knew I'd keep working. So I had a friend come over, join me for dinner. Within the first few minutes of sitting down and having dinner, I knew something was off. And I told my friend, I said, hey, something's wrong. I said, my hearing just went out and my vision's going dim. And that's the last memory I had. And apparently what I tried to do was stand up from sitting at the kitchen table. And apparently I was trying to take a step to go lie down on the couch. And mid-step, without any notice that I was going to lose consciousness, I took a step and apparently lost consciousness. I woke up in the emergency room at Denver General Hospital, where I lived at the time in Denver. And from prior medical experience, I realized I was in an ER and was wondering, how did I get here? What am I doing here? And at the time, they were suturing my lip and saying, well, that's going to scar. I said, okay. What's going on, right? And then they informed me that I lost consciousness in my house. I had fallen mid-step and had multiple facial fractures, broke my nose, broke the orbital, which is the bone right behind the eye that kind of elevates it as a platform, broke all these facial bones around the eye, had so basically skull fracture, facial fractures, and I had a brain bleed. So it's pretty serious. And had I been alone and that happened, there's a good probability I could have bled out. Head wounds typically have a lot of bleeding, and I had several lacerations as well from just face planting on a marble floor. And they ran a number of tests. I had to have 3 surgeries in total, reconstructive facial surgeries. I've got 9 plates and 16 screws in my face. the MRI and the CAT scan makes me look like Frankenstein. They ran a number of tests, and at the end of the day, they couldn't find any underlying cause, not epilepsy, no tumors, nothing that could really explain what happened. So they chalked it up to stress. And they said, well, they said, well, what led up to it? And I explained, I said, yeah, this was stress. Stress actually can do this. This is your subconscious. And it was interesting. The neurologist shared this with me. She said, the best way to think about it is you even articulated, you even verbalized and said out loud, I hate what I'm doing. And yet you were still doing it. And she said, it's almost like your subconscious, which was in the back seat, got out, took your conscious, put your conscious aside, and took the wheel and drove and literally made you fall on your face, telling you, stop doing this. This is hurting you.